So back on Thursday, the last Thursday of June, Tad Stones, who is known for doing work on a lot of Disney shows like Gummi Bears, Rescue Rangers, Buzz Lightyear, Star Command, and so on, decided to do a Q&A on Reddit, and he asked a lot of people, fans, to submit the questions of what they would like to have answered. And I saw this on Facebook, I think maybe 15 minutes after he put it up, and I said to myself, "Oh, I gotta ask him some questions because, there's a couple of questions I wanted to see if maybe he had the answer to." And I was like, one of the first three, four people to ask a question, and you know, yesterday, or not yesterday, but Saturday on the 29th, I was laying in bed, just waking up on Saturday morning, and I was scrolling down on my phone, and out of curiosity, I wanted to see, maybe, if he had answered my questions, because sometimes you can ask a question in these kind of Q&As and they won't get answered. So I asked, no, not asked, but I scrolled down, and thankfully my question was indeed answered. In fact, it was two questions I asked him. And the questions I asked him 3 days ago, which was on Wednesday, I asked him basically, was there ever a time where Gadget would choose Dale or Chip in the show? Not the 2020, okay, let me reread that. This was the questions I asked him. And the first question I asked him through Reddit was there ever a time where Gadget would choose Dale or Chip in the show, not the 2022 movie, to be her boyfriend? I think it would have been Dale, just because of the many hints and moments thrown in there with them around each other more than the rest of the team. That was the first question. Again, this is my first question I asked him, and that was there ever a time where Gadget would have chose Dale or Chip in the show, not the 2022 movie, to be her boyfriend? And then I tell him, in my opinion, I think it would have been Dale, just because of the many hints and moments thrown in there with them around each other more than the rest of the team. That was my first question. And then my other question was very simply, also, was there plans to age up Cubby and Sunny in Gummi Bears? Because again, like I said, he worked on Gummi Bears. And on Thursday, he answered my question. This is from Tad Stones himself. He says, and I quote, "Generally, we followed the Disney tradition of not aging characters, or for that matter, making major changes in relationships. Both CDRR, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and Darkwing Duck were meant to be watched in any order, repeatedly and for several years. Now, a show like Gargoyles is different. Solid continuity, building stories and character arcs. Villains can become partners, etc. It a show like the... I guess he said, if a show... He said, it a show, or he basically says, it a show like that, a major change can incite gasp from the audience. Or it shows that a show like that can have major changes that can incite gasps from the audiences." But yeah, that was his answer to me. Again, his initial answer to me, what my questions was, this again was from Tad Stones answering my question. He says, "Generally, we followed the Disney tradition of not aging characters, or for that matter, making major changes in relationships. Both Chippendale Rescue Rangers and Darkwing Duck, and I think even Gummi Bears, were meant to be watched in any order, repeatedly and for several years. Now, a show like Gargoyles is different." Oh, and then he continues on saying, "Now, a show like Gargoyles is different. Solid continuity, building stories and character arcs. Villains can become partners, etc. It's a show like that, a major change can incite gasps from the audience." So, and I'll put this in the picture because it's a screenshot from my phone that I'm recording this on. I'm recording this one on with. I'm just trying to think about what I was going to say next. Apologize for that. And again, I'm doing this when my mom is on the phone, her sister, my aunt. So, taking advantage of the opportunities I got. But yeah, I asked him, basically, was there ever a time where Gadget would have chose Chip or Dale in the show, not the 2022 movie, to be her boyfriend? And then I explained to him why I think it would have been Dale, just because of the fact that there were many hints and moments thrown in there with them around each other more than the rest of the team. And then I asked him, was there plans to age up Cubby and Sunny, in Gummi Bears? And again, his answer was, his answer, and I quote, was, generally, we follow the Disney tradition of not aging characters, or for that matter, making changes in relationships. Both Rescue Rangers and Darkwing Duck and Gummi Bears were meant to be watched in any order repeatedly and for several years. Hold on. What? Sorry about that. My mom needed my help. Apparently there was a disconnect between her and my aunt. Something happened, like a miscommunication. You know how it is with cell phones. You get to talking on the cell phone, and all of a sudden somebody goes out, and there's no answer as to what happened, because maybe you find out both have enough battery life and time on your phone, but obviously it's a misconnect. Maybe it's the hot weather, I don't know. But yeah, so that's if you hear me saying what and you hear somebody in the background, that was my mom calling for me, so I do apologize. But like I said, like I was saying, basically, he answered my question, and what I take away from the question being answered in the way it was, because he said basically, that both shows were meant to be watched in any order repeatedly and for several years. And, what I take away from this, where he says they follow the Disney tradition of not aging characters, or for that matter, making major changes in relationships. But when he talks about, like I said, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, and Gummi Bears, were meant to be watched in any order repeatedly and for several years, what I take from that is he's telling me you don't have to watch it, in a certain way. Like, the Blu-ray for Rescue Rangers, has all the episodes listed a certain way, chronologically, episodically, whatever, same as Disney Plus. So from what I take away from that is he's saying, if you want to watch an episode, like, let's say, and I do apologize for that notification there, do apologize for that vibration you heard, but like I said, it's like he's saying, if you want to watch Good Times, Bat Times, and the reason I say it like that is because the closed captioning here on YouTube will go with a D instead of a T. But anyway, it's like him saying, if you want to watch that episode, and consider that episode to be, like, let's say, the second to last episode, and the last episode is Double O Chipmunk or Song of the Nightingale or whatever, then that's your choice, and you can watch it that way as much as you want. And you can pretty much come up with your own conclusion or your own interpretation of, okay, if I watch it that way, then if you're a Dale and Gadget supporter, then Song of the Nightingale and Double O Chipmunk are mostly like Song of the Nightingale or something like that, pretty much confirms to you Dale and Gadget are an item. End of story. Or if you want to watch Double O Chipmunk, Dale and Gadget are an item. End of story. Or if you're a fan of Dale and Foxglove as an item, then you can take Good Times, Bad Times as the last episode. There you go. And what's crazy is somebody actually commented to me, I think on a Facebook page or somewhere, saying that it was that one of the episodes, from what they understood, that I mentioned, whether it was Double O Chipmunk or Song of the Nightingale, one of them, RoboCat, whatever, was looked at as like the last episode. So you can pretty much take it from, like for them, I should say, they could pretty much take that and be like, hey, that means Dale and Gadget are together. So again, it's all up to interpretation from what I'm getting here. But yeah, like I said, he answered my questions. And as far as, not aging Cubby and Sunny up, he says generally they follow the Disney tradition of not aging characters. Well, let me say this right now to Mr. Tad Stones. What do you call Max being aged up in Goofy movie? And he's basically the same Max from Goof Troop. What do you say about that? So I think when, he says something like that, where they don't follow, that, or well, they don't follow, but where they follow that Disney tradition of not aging characters. He's saying at the beginning, generally they follow that Disney tradition, and I think what he means by generally is he's saying most of the time we would follow that, but there are exceptions. There are exceptions. That's what I was trying to get at. There are exceptions. But yeah, he answered my questions, and I was happy he did. And that's really all I wanted to come on here and talk about. Let me know if you guys, let me know if you guys took part in the Reddit Q&A with Ted Stones. Did he answer your questions? What were your thoughts on his answers to your questions? Let me know, because again, his answers to me, because I asked him, basically, was there a time where Gadget would have chose Chip, Dale or Chip in the show, not the 2022 movie, to be her boyfriend? And then I tell him, in my opinion, I think it would have been Dale, just because of the many hints and moments thrown in there with them around each other more than the rest of the team. And he told me basically that that they generally follow the Disney tradition of not making major changes in relationships, and that both Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, and Gummi Bears were meant to be watched in any order repeatedly and for several years. So again, that kind of tells me it's up to interpretation, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, you can look at it like, okay, if I want to consider Double O Chipmunk or Song of the Nightingale or RoboCat as the last episode, then I'm going to say that confirms Dale and Gadget together. End of story. Done. And if I want to consider Good Times, Bat Times as the last episode, then I would say, hey, that means Dale and Fox have an item. End of story. Heck, if I want to consider Adventures in Squirrel City, one of the very first episodes, for the show, as the last episode, then I could say Chip and Tammy. It's all up to interpretation, and I think that's why he gave the answer of they're meant to be watched in any order repeatedly and for several years. And as far as aging up Cubby and Sunny, when he says generally they follow the Disney tradition of not aging characters or making changes in relationships, when he uses the word generally, he's basically saying most of the time, but there are exceptions. So if they were told, hey, age up Cubby and Sunny to be 18, 17 years old and make them fall in love with each other, then, they'll do that. And again, that falls under the line of, under interpretation, make it as you will. But yeah, he did. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that. I do apologize again for the interruptions. But let me know what your thoughts are. Again, let me know if you guys took part in this Reddit Q&A that he did on the last Thursday of June. And comment down below if you did, like I said. And if you want to check out my Teespring store, check it out. The link is in the description, as well as all the other places where you can find my content as well. So until next time, guys, I am out. Y'all have a good day.